Hi, this is Big V. It's Friday night, and we're going to go to the Mark Hamilton Family and You call. Here it is. Let me dial in the number.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound key. Please wait. Please enter the reference number followed by the pound key. Enter the pound key to listen to the history. Please wait while we prepare your files. Press 6 to fast forward for 1 minute. Press 4 to rewind for 1 minute. Press 5 to pause or resume.
Hello. I am looking forward to tonight's call. I'm glad everyone's here. Everybody's sounding pretty good. Everybody's happy. It's a new year. And it's already the 4th. The year's almost over, man. We're wasting time. So let's get to work here. I want to start off with I'm going to try and do this once in a while. And I was going through some old papers and I found some really good articles that we covered in the past, and some from here and some from outside. But I used to write a lot more about the future. And I found one today that I thought would be kind of neat, just to get us in that mode of thinking and thinking in the future and getting into that civilization of the universe. This was written on September 24th, 2022. The 7th annual NeoThink Summit was held over the weekend at Madison Square Garden in New York City. This event, which started out with only 120 people back in 2015, now just finished its 3-day event with a total of over 30,000 people attending. This society of new thinkers is becoming a movement that is taking on the world by storm. It attracts people from all ethnic groups, ages, and income brackets. The average expense of a person in NeoThink outgains any other group or organization on the planet. The rate of millionaires compared to their group membership is well over 50% unheard of anything seen before. The project by 2030, if they continue at their current rate, will be close to 50 million people. It will be the biggest organization of its kind. The event focuses on 3 things: your Friday night essence, in other words, finding your essence, finding your purpose in life, business and how to start your own business, and the testimonials of some of the success stories. So many emotions were shared by so many people. At times, there was not a dry eye in the whole crowd. The gratitude, the abundance, and the passion was off the charts. Seeing some of these people talk, you never would have imagined that they would be in a position of wealth was worth the trip to this summit. Every state in the Union was represented, and as well as 15 other countries. That was the news clip. 3 more years from now, 3.5 years from now. I used to write a lot of these future news 3, 4, 5 years ago. I think it's good once in a while. We don't talk about the city view as much as I would like to, and how you say it. What changes do you see in the world, and what changes the inventions and how you would live and everything else. So it's always good to take a few minutes every day and just put yourself in the civilization of the universe. Let your mind just go. And just see how different it would be living there than opposed to living in this AC world. Now, I have a NeoThink moment here. I would like to talk to you about your word, keeping your word, and why our words are so important. I don't think anyone can get a bigger compliment than if someone said about that person that he was a man of his word. Reason being is to become a person of your word, you must be selfish. When no others come first, that is when your words mean something. That is when you will always back up your word. You know it when you say something or promise someone something that you will do it. A person of action, a person who is in control, has self-confidence, a person who is an individual and a person with compassion. These are because my pages are split. One of the most powerful tools we have is our voice. People respond to persons' voices. It is what starts to God. It is what started to God many thousands of years ago. Men heard voices in his head, and they thought these voices were God's, and they listened to them. Over the eons, this was the beginning of religion and the beginning of all men to become followers. The elite knew this and used their voices for us to listen to them. What we have learned is that we must listen to our inner voice, the true voice, the voice of our child of the past, the voice of reason and the voice of honesty and love. Right now, we, mankind, has listened to the voices of the elite, and look where we are today. So the next time you need to make a decision, stop and think and listen to your voice, the voice with the integrations. Words have so much power. So the words that we speak here, we should speak out in the world. Let people know who we are. And you say that with conviction, and people will listen. Politicians know that the best. Politicians and church leaders are experts at using the words. And we have all listened to them over the years. Thankfully now we don't listen to them too much anymore because they really have nothing to say. But this is a new year. And I was going through some old things, and I wrote this one back on January 8th of 2012. So it's basically almost 7 years to the day I wrote this, and it still fits today. And this is going to tie in to Advantage number 11 of the Frank R. Wallace 114 Advantages. So it is in the Mark Hamilton and Family and You. Tonight we are starting from the beginning, and we are going into the nitty-gritty of things. For example, the definition of nitty-gritty is the actual state of things, which is ultimately essential and true. The truth, honesty, that is what is essential for us to learn and move forward, but also to reach consciousness. So this year for me, I know I will be the best year in every part of my life. In the past, I've always hoped that it would be a good year for me, but I never was sure it would be. And how many of us still feel that way now? Every year since I've been here, I always knew that this year coming up was going to be better than last year. And it has gone that way ever since I've been here. I never put 10 years together in a row before. But Mark says that we can predict the future, and now I know that this is true. So I can say from knowledge and what I have learned, without a doubt, this will be my best year ever. One of my goals this year is to help as many people as I can to have their best year ever, and the best way that I know how to do this is getting back to the basics and the nitty-gritty of things so we can all move forward. Also, where will you want to be 1 year from now? This is the first of many questions that we will be asking you tonight. Almost everything that we see and hear, either on TV, radio, or family or friends, is an illusion. These illusions are based on a society that has been built on lies. We were born and raised in a society where honesty is not a top priority. It is these illusions that stop us from becoming who we were meant to be. So the first question we must ask ourselves is, how do we see through these illusions? And it starts with an honest, integrated mind. And how do we get this integrated mind? And we get that through knowledge. And how do we get the knowledge? By reading the literature of Neothink. The key is not just reading the literature, but breaking it down to its bare essence, that nitty-gritty. So how do we start to do this? Where do we start? Well, before we start reading anything, let's look at ourselves in the mirror. Let's look at ourselves like never before. Let's look at our soul through our eyes and ask ourselves some questions. And here's a real simple question. Are we happy? Not so simple, is it? If the answer is no. If it is asked, why am I not happy? Remember, look at your soul. Get to the nitty-gritty for the answer. What is stopping me from being happy? This is how we have to dig into ourselves. We have to be for us to be honest with anybody, we have to be honest with ourselves first. We have to be. We have to be honest all the time. So by asking yourself these questions, you will start to dig in to find out what is really stopping you. Because once you find your answer, which is a huge step, let's now ask ourselves, what would happen if I did become an integrated thinker? Now, at this point, just use your imagination. Remember, anything conceived in a conscious mind can be achieved. This is when you start to find your finite essence. This is where you find yourself. This is where everything gets easier. It is always easier to deal with anything when you are dealing with it in honesty. So at the end of each day, go back to the mirror, look real hard, and ask yourself, did I do everything that I could do to become a better person? Believe me, each day will become easier for you. Take action, and you will never look back again. But now it's time to read and learn the knowledge. The other day I read an article how as we get older, our learning curve goes down, and by the time we reach 60, we are tapped out from learning much more. This is what is wrong with this world built on lies. They tell us we are not worth all that much when we become older. This is what happens when people rule over other people. A human being's happiness is the happiest when he is learning and creating. What a difference between the world today and the world that we want to live in. They want to put older people out to pasture, and in our world, after 60, we are just beginning. This is from a society where they can produce only a handful of people like Steve Jobs. In our world, we could produce millions of Steve Jobs. So dig into this literature. Break it down to its bare essence. And become that integrated thinker. All of this can only happen through knowledge. Again, breaking it down to the nitty-gritty. The definition, and it's basically it's having infinite awareness, understanding, and insight. When you have this knowledge, there's nothing that can stop you. The government can regulate our businesses and many parts of our lives, but don't let them regulate your mind. They have done enough of that over the years. The reason why we could never hit our potential is because they have regulated our minds by taking over the educational system and teaching us what to think and not how to think. To teach us to follow them blindly into this anti-civilization. But there does come a time in our lives to take a stand and to make decisions for ourselves and only ourselves. This is when we have to become adults. This is one of those times. It is time to take action. Put what you read into your life every day. Become that self-leader that you always wanted to be. Do you believe in yourself? This is another one of those questions that you must ask yourself every day. Maybe every day, 10 times a day. Do I believe in myself? But only you can answer that. Maybe the only way to answer that question is to ask yourself another question. Do you agree or disagree with what we have covered tonight and in what Mark has written? Are there parts of the literature that you agree with and parts that you do not? Well, the parts that you don't either agree with or understand, go back and read again. Get to the nitty-gritty. All the answers are in this literature, but you must take the action. Remember, this is about you becoming a self-leader. This is a very personal trip. This is just about you and no one else. So be honest with yourself. Knock down the walls that are stopping you. Go through the door to the unknown. This is where your life is. Don't be afraid of it. All of your changes are past that door that says fear. Imagine being a conscious, creative person, giving more to society society than what you take out. What a feeling that would be. What a feeling that would be. A feeling of what? Confidence, being proud of yourself, and a feeling of accomplishment. Take it one step further and imagine everyone giving more to society than taking out. This would be a world without government. One more question. If you doubt what I am saying, what does the government give to society today? All they do is take out of society and don't put anything back in. We can't go like that too much further before this world just falls apart. So one more thing. Remember when you first received marked letters asking you to become a member in this society? I want you to take out a pen and write down why you joined. Why did you join NeoThink? Go back to that day. What made you write out a check for $140 basically? What were your reasons? How many of your reasons have come true? If they haven't, why not? Be honest. But this is how you move forward. This is how it works. If you don't do these steps, you will never become that self-leader. You will never hit the dreams that you want to hit. You will never hit the goals that you want to hit. You won't find that fire on essence. You won't start a business if that's what you want to do. If you want to help people, if you want to do this or if you want to do that, you must grab this knowledge and then put it into that action. It's the only way that we can take this society further. And that basically leads into advantage number 11. Which is self-esteem and the rewards from life. Now, how does this tie in? Well, self-esteem is such an important part of our progress here. Self-esteem is everything. If we don't have that, we can't do anything. By learning this knowledge, it gives you self-esteem. You're going to feel so much better, better than you have ever felt before in your life. And I'm a perfect example of that. I came here basically broke, depressed. Maybe the lowest point of my life is when I came here. And I had nothing to lose, but everything to gain. And I gained it. I read these books inside out, upside down, sideways, any which way that you can think of. I dove into this for the first year that I was here when there was nobody else to talk to. And it has paid off. But it's a lot of hard work. But as Franklin Wallace talks about, he says, self-esteem and the rewards from life. All right, happiness of men and women is not based on sex or pleasure, but on self-esteem. We could talk for hours on just that one sentence. How much better, if you are in a relationship, either marriage or you're dating someone or you're a partner with someone, it doesn't matter, but imagine how much better that relationship would be if both of you had more self-esteem, that you feel confident about yourself, that you were living a life that you always wanted to live, and everything was coming to you that you always dreamed of, as opposed to how you feel today. If we don't have self-esteem, we don't think we're worth this effort of studying these books, of putting into work, into our lives, of coming on these calls, of spending all this money on these books. If we don't have self-esteem, we go nowhere. And I'm sure most of you came here, and that was one of the reasons, because your self-esteem was not there. I know mine wasn't. I had none. It's a long road to get to where you want to go, but it's a lot shorter going this route. Because if you follow your path and you follow what Mark Hamilton and Frank R. Wallace has written on these pages, it'll take you exactly to where you want to go. Self-esteem acquired through honesty and productivity is the requisite for romantic love and psychic pleasures. All right, so he's saying that the happiness of men and women is not based on sex or pleasure, but on self-esteem. But then when you have that self-esteem through honesty and productivity, or basically being creative, that will give you the romantic love and the psychic pleasures. So we turn it around, because everything in NeoThink and Neotech come from where? comes from within us. Everything of your life starts inside first. We weren't taught that. We were taught everything came from the outside. The authorities, we had to listen to them, our parents, government, teachers, church, whatever it was. And we always had to listen to them, and they knew what was best for us because we didn't know. We aren't that smart. We don't have enough education yet to know what we want. But nobody can control you that way. We give a lot of our control to them. We give a lot of our power away to them because that's what we were taught to do. But something about our minds made us say, there's something not right here. This is not how we are supposed to live. We are not supposed to listen to other people. You know, I never wanted to. I hated authority. I don't care how little it was or how big it was. I just hated it. I didn't think that nobody knew more than I did about myself. And I was right. I didn't realize at the time. But when you're in a romantic love relationship, psychic sex adds an intensity to human pleasure unattainable elsewhere in life. Obviously, Frank R. Wallace talks a lot about being happy. So does Mark Hamilton. And Frank R. Wallace actually came up with a word about pleasures, but he had to actually make the word up, psychic. There's not many dictionary out there. But it was so important to him for us to feel these pleasures. And the only way that you can do that is being integrated, being honest, being neothink, being neotech, being reasonable. And when you have that, nobody in that AC world out there today, the 7 billion and some people that live in this world today, none of them not only don't know about psychic pleasures, none of them have ever achieved it. Basically, nobody in this world has yet because nobody has become that God-man. Nobody has become that Zion yet. But when we get to, we are all God-men. But when we actually are living as a God-man, and when we're putting all these guys, I know Frank R. Wallace probably became the closest person to being an actual God-man.
It's sure different without Steve Bacon on these calls, that's for sure. A lot different. Wow.
Pleasures is the body, mind, soul, everything. And everything's so much better when everything's even keel and there's pleasures. And my goal is to live that before I die. And I think it should be everyone's goal. Imagine being that happy with life. Imagine being that way. Just having that feel, having that confidence, having that self-esteem. Because you know that you're living the life that you wanted. You know that you're putting more value into society and taking out. You're helping people. You're selfish. And you are so strong now that you can never go back to the way you were. You don't even want to think about going back to the way you were. That's what this all can do for you, and it can happen. Because self-esteem is a person's estimate of his or her self-worth. If you ask somebody where their self-esteem is from a scale of 1 to 10, and if they don't answer you within a second, because they should, everybody knows where their self-esteem is. But they'll think of it and say, well, it's a 10, or it's a 9 or something. And most people's self-esteem is not that high. And it's not for various reasons, but most people out there are not living the life that they want to live. Most people out there are not happy. Most people are, and still a lot of people are struggling out there. We are in this world that it's just, they're constantly telling us what to do, taking away more freedoms. And the people out there don't know how to handle it. They don't think it can ever change. And they lose self-esteem every day. It's no way to live with no self-esteem. We have to make the best of what we have. Even if you're working for an AC company, you can still be living like a God-man. You can still be living with self-esteem. You can still be living the near-think integrated way. We do have to start to separate from the AC world. And as Jake said to himself and wrote it when he was watching those 12 students when they were adults and they were all very successful. And he was asking himself, how did they become so successful in this AC world? And his answer was perfect. They never participated in the AC world. Never. They never followed anyone. Yeah, they had to work in it, had to deal with it, but they never participated because they were on their own mission. Because they were living their life. And nobody was going to tell them any different. So as we start to grow here, you've got to start to separate. Doesn't mean that you quit your job, but you go in and you do your job, but maybe you do a better job now because you're more integrated. And as you become more integrated, people are going to notice, and maybe you get a raise, maybe you get a promotion, because now you have the edge. But self-esteem, though, is based on the ability to live independently and happily and completely. It does complete your life. It's putting that final piece of the puzzle in there. Because when your self-esteem is at the highest it's ever been in your life, things are going good. And it's a great, great relief to feel that. You knowing that your world's changing, knowing that your life's getting better, and knowing now that NeoThink really, truly works. But we have to bust our tail to do it. Now imagine how much easier this would be to understand NeoThink and Neotech if we were in the sea of you. If we were in a civilization of the universe right now, we would be banging on someone's door about NeoThink and begging them to teach us. And trying to teach us as fast as we can because we don't want to miss out. We don't want to miss out on this great world that's totally different than the world that we just came from. When that change comes, people will be knocking, banging down doors, especially if we have clubhouses out there. If you're a coordinator with a clubhouse, when this change is over, you'll be a millionaire overnight. You couldn't handle the people because you'd be offering all kind of different services. They would want, now their minds, their mentality is changing now. Their self-esteem is definitely changes, and they want to catch up. They want to know how to be in this new mentality world. And who better to come to than NeoThink people? And they'll pay dearly for that information. You'll make tons of money just being a coordinator. Because you'll be open 7 days a week and maybe even 24 hours a day. People will be jamming. I mean, that's how I see the future here. Because we're the ones that help create this world. So we're the ones that know about it the best. It's been in our brains for decades. And these people, somehow they got through that mentality change and they're still here. But now they want to catch up. Now they want to get the self-esteem that we have. Self-esteem is dependent on one's effectiveness in dealing with reality. Even though we live in a world where there is no reality, at least no reality of reason, logic, honesty, but we have to live and deal with our reality. You have to believe and you have to think about anything that has to do with reality. And that's backed up by science and logic and everything else that goes with it. We can't rely on the government or church or anybody else to tell us that the reality is what they're saying. Because they don't have a clue what reality is. All they want to do is control and control and control. And take your freedoms more and more. And that's all they want out of life. But a very high level of self-esteem requires commitment to being objective and honest. Again, it goes back to your word. And you have to look at everything with an objective mind and an honest mind. And see through the illusions to get to that honesty. But becoming objective and becoming honest does not automatically occur. We have to fight for it. We have to bring it into our bodies. We have to bring it into our mind. We must constantly work hard to be objective and honest. It's a lot of hard work because we're living in a world that's not objective. And we're definitely not living in a world of honesty. That's the problem. There is no honesty left. There's barely any truth left. And you know, and truth is like an octopus. There's 8 or 10 tentacles out there of truth. All 10 together equals honesty. But the AC world and politicians will just take one of those tentacles and say, this is the truth. We're not giving the other 9 out there. So, self-esteem is that emotion of feeling worthy and competent to live in this world, of feeling in control of your life. And how many feel they are in control of their life? Now, I was talking to a gentleman today, and he was asking about he was asking if I could coach him, and I was telling him what was involved. And he has his own business that he's starting up, and I'm not sure how long he's been in this society, but he was struggling with the money. And I'm saying, well, you know, you have your business going, and you have some clients here from NeoThink. But why are you struggling with money? And he was giving all these excuses. You know, it was just one excuse after the other. So I said, no, I'm just going to be straightforward, honest with you. Are you doing your mini day schedule? And he says, no. I said, do you know the Self-Leader program? No. Have you read this information? Well, some of it. I said, so are you here just to get clients, or are you here to really become NeoThink? Because a lot of people do come here, and what's on their agenda is not what's on everybody else's agenda. So he was like defending about his business. And I said, you want to help people. You've been telling me that you want to help people. Yes, I do. I really want to do it. And I believed him. I said, but how can you help them if you're not helping yourself first? And he says, what do you mean by that? I said, imagine if you could control the time of your day. If you were doing mini days. If you were controlling time instead of time controlling you. And then you could teach that to the people that you signed up. And if you had been doing that, life too would not be a problem. And it was like just dead silence on the phone. We have to start reading this information, and we have to start living this information. We have to start taking this action. Because if you want to start a business, I mean, you know, I have a business here. I'm a coach. All right? And I have coached a lot of people in the society over the years, and I'm coaching quite a few now. And I just sent a letter out there to a lot of you to think about it. I couldn't be a success here if I didn't follow what I'm reading. I wouldn't have ever started. I mean, how would I teach people to live their lives or help them live their lives if I wasn't NeoThink? I wouldn't be a very good coach. You have to look at it from all angles. And many people come here and they say, well, I want to help people. But that's just an AC answer. I had a lady tonight who I was talking to. I mean, yeah, and she was older, and she says, well, I bought a couple of these books, and I'm really broke, and I have no money, and I don't see how this is going to help me, and blah, blah. And she's going on and on and on and on, and she's helping all these people, but she's not making any money from it. And she's really completely just flat broke. I said, well, you're not looking at it in the right mentality. Well, what do you mean by the right mentality? I said, well, have you read any of these books? And then she started, I said, wait. I said, it's real simple. You don't want to have another job, right? Well, I really don't. I'm 69, and you know, and I'm out on disability. I have a mortgage, and I'm only living on Social Security and disability. She said, so every dollar counts. I said, well, that's great. I mean, yeah, I said, that's. I said, well, how would you like to charge for some of your services? Well, these people don't have any money. I said, well, how about people who do have the money? Could they, if there's people out there who have money, would they like your service? Oh, well, yeah, I guess so. I says, well, why don't you go find those people? Well, I couldn't take their money. I said, what do you mean you couldn't take your money? She's not being selfish. I said, what is wrong with you making money while you're helping people? I said, I do it every day. I'm a life coach. She couldn't wrap her mind around that kind of a mentality. I said, you can't help people as much as you would like to if you don't have money in your pocket. And she just could not accept that concept. And I felt really bad for her. I didn't want to hang up on her, but we had to go because she just wouldn't listen. Don't do that to yourself. Don't miss out on all these pleasures of life that we can have and the money. Yes, it's all real. But yeah, you got to bust your tail like never before. And most, she says, well, plus I'm 60. I said, well, I'm 68. I said, I have no plans to retire. I said, all I want to do is grow my business and start other businesses. You do? I said, yeah. Why? I said, because I'm happy. I love doing it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm helping these people the best I can. And I'm making money doing it. I said, why should we not sell our services? Do you go into your supermarket and take all the food off the shelves and not pay for it? And she goes, of course not. Well, then why should I? Why should anybody in there? What? Mark's going to send you out books and not charge you? Mentors aren't going to get paid for mentoring? That's not how it works. She's being selfless and not selfish. She has no self-esteem. She doesn't feel worthy. And she has no control of her life. But she can't see her way out of it. And that's what we have to start doing, is to see ourselves doing what we want to do. So where do we go from here? Well, in this Advantage 11, Franco Haas puts a self-evaluation test. And it's a very short and easy thing to do, but it will give you an idea of where you are with your, like the first one's. Well, now, again, he wrote these books a while ago, so he has a value producer. And I'm sure if he was around today, he would have changed that to value creator. And he says it's a self-evaluation test of value creator orientation. And there's 2 blocks. It says, I earn my livelihood by producing competitive values, tradable in the free market. Or, I am a student gaining knowledge necessary to become a producer of values, tradable in the free market. So right there you can mark either one. The next one is value destroyer orientation. I do not earn my livelihood by producing values for others. Instead, I live off of values produced by others. And the other one is, I am a student learning how to manipulate people by using government, religion, or other forms of neo-cheating and mythicism to usurp a livelihood from the value producers. Now, I just want to talk about neo-cheaters for a second. I could talk about that for years. Imagine you being all you did every day was just absurd and steal from people and take advantage of them. And imagine that's how you lived every day. And they have no guilt whatsoever. Look at that mentality. How can the world exist if everybody had a mentality like that? And we're barely existing today because most of us has either had our identity stolen or has something stolen from us, or people trying to steal from us, people trying to take advantage of us. It's rampant. And there's nobody out there to protect ourselves. We have to protect ourselves. And a lot of us don't know how to do that. So we have to look at it and say, you have to look, this is where, and I said this earlier, I was trying to find this article I found years ago about becoming an adult. And we have no adults out there. You can't call our politicians adults. They don't act like an adult. They don't have that self-esteem. You have to understand most politicians, in fact all of them, have very little self-esteem. They have the power, which keeps them above us because they make the laws, and that gives them satisfaction because now they can take advantage of all the people out here who are creating, and they can stop them because they don't deserve to have the money. They don't deserve to invent that product. We don't need it, and that's how they think. But imagine having that kind of a mentality where you just constantly are seeing people climb up that ladder and you just got them by the ankles and you pull them down. And that's all you did every day. I can't imagine living that way. I don't think any of us can really imagine that because we're all here. But there's more than not. There's people out there right now probably trying to steal your identity or steal your car or break into your house or do something that they didn't earn at all. And it's getting worse every day. I'm not trying to be a doomsayer here. I'm just talking reality. I just lost a lot of money because they basically took my information off the computer, and it cost me tens of thousands of dollars just a few weeks ago. So it still stings. I'm still trying to get the money, but I don't know if I will or not now. It's incredible how they just are waiting for you. You know, it's like one of those birds of prey up in the trees, and they're just waiting for some hamster or something or some squirrel to go by so they can go down there and just grab them. And that's what these people are. They're birds of prey. And they're looking for a weak spot somewhere. In these books, and all these tens of thousands of pages that we have, it tells you exactly how to stay out of that problem. It tells you exactly how to become the person that you were meant to be. And if a lot of you don't believe that you can do that, then you got to go back and start working harder. This is your life. You can choose any which way that you want to live it. But you came here for a reason. And you've got to go back to that reason. And every time I got off track here in the last 10 and a half years, and I realized, boy, I'm kind of stuck here. I haven't really moved forward in a week or two. What's going on? And I had to think about it for a while. And then I would sit there and say, all right, Charlie, again, go back and go over what you signed up for here. What were the reasons? I start writing them down again. And that would give me that my juices flowing again so that I would start getting unstuck again. You got to constantly take inventories. I know I said this a million times. I want to say it a million more. I want all of you. Why can't this year be the best year of your life? And that's the question that you have to ask yourself. I want you all to be here a year from now and say, Charlie, this was the best year of my life. How do you think Neo Think would be moving and shaking by then if all of us had the best years of our life right now in 2019? Just think how different these calls would be. Think how different everything would be with this society. I mean, I think about this a lot. And this is going back a few years. Me and Steve was invited down to Houston. They were having like a super clubhouse down there. And they had people come from all over Texas and even outside of Texas. And we went down there. So as I was talking on Saturday, I was talking basically about the same thing, about taking action. I said, now, let's say that we had it was probably about 70, 80 people there. And I was saying to them, I said, now, let's look 10 years from now, let's say. And all of you found your essence in that time. All of you started the business, so you were doing something in your life that was so much better than what you were used to. And you got NeoThink, and you studied it, and you graduated, and you just went crazy out there. Now imagine how this would be 10 years from now. Instead of me and Steve talking and taking a lot of the time, and then some of the other people here talking, this is how it would be. And I had the mic, and I was just walking back and forth, So I went back to the podium, and I put the mic into the stand there, and I said, now, 10 years from now, we're in the same room, and all of us are living our essence. And we're all here with many more people than what's here now. how would that clubhouse go? And I said, the way I think of it is that me and Steve came here and we talked for a few minutes each and said, you know, I really want to talk to more of the newer members here, the members who are just starting or been here just a couple of years and they haven't gotten that traction yet. And I would start calling names up. Well, let me have Joe Brown come up. And Joe Brown would come up and he'd start talking and he would say something like, you know, I've been here for about 8 years now. I've been here for 10 years now or 12 years now. My business is booming, all because of NeoThink. I just had my first $1 million year. And he just goes on and on and on about what NeoThink has done for him. Then I would call up the next person, and they would tell almost the same exact story, what NeoThink did for them. And then the next one, and the next one. So, at that clubhouse, we would make sure then when clubhouses could do that and have these success stories, that's when you would invite family, friends, and let them just hear what NeoThink has done for them. That's how we grow NeoThink. That's how we grow ourselves. Because we should have those kinds of talks on these talks now. Think about it. We don't have any millionaires here yet. But we should. And I'm putting myself in there too. I should. We have to start taking our lives seriously, more than ever before. And take that responsibility and feel that self-esteem, that self-confidence, and live it. And people will know just by looking at you that you're successful. What a great feeling. It's a great feeling to walk into the room and you walk in and you just have that swagger about you. Like you know something that they don't. And guess what? You do. You do. You know NeoThink. They don't. I mean, I can remember years ago, I was down at the casinos in Atlantic City, and my brother was there, and my father was there, and we're waiting for our car. And this big lever pulls up, and opens up, and this guy in it just dressed to the nines, and his wife or his girlfriend, whoever it was, it was like this beautiful couple. You couldn't beat them. And they walked through there, and they walked like they were not even touching the ground. And I said to myself, this is well before I got into NeoThink. And I said to myself, I want to walk out of a limo like that. Walking like chest out and head held high. And you're just walking through it, not to impress anybody. It's just that that's how you felt. You just felt that way. Because people noticed that. And everybody there was probably wondering what I was. What do they do for a living? You know, how much money do they have? And how he becomes successful. That's how you want to walk into a room. That's how you want to feel. Imagine having that feeling every day. You can't wait to get up in the morning because you love what you're doing, you're making money, you're helping people. What else is there in life besides that? I mean, I look at it now, I'm not a millionaire yet, but I look at it though, I have everything I ever wanted. I just need now is a little more money like all of us do. But I get up every morning, usually I wake up, and I say to myself, what am I going to learn new today? And I start feeling better right away. And on my really busy days, I get through the day and I'm just flying high. I'm tired by the end of the day. But I do what I wanted to do. I've helped people. I made some money. And I can't ask for any more than that. But yes, I can. Because there's so much abundance out there that we can ask for anything we want and get it. And I'm getting to that point where that's going to happen soon. I'm banking on it. I mean, that's because nobody's going to tell me what's best for me. Nobody's going to give me $10 million and say, here, go ahead and have a great life. Nobody's going to protect me. We've got to become that self-leader. And the only way that we can do that is with self-esteem. And self-esteem comes from learning this information. There's no other way around it. There really isn't. I talked to these two people today. They had not a clue. Not a clue. And one guy has the books. And he still couldn't get the concept of him doing some work on them. It just amazes me. Amazes me. He has the books. He has the business going. It's not going well. And I'm telling him exactly how to go about it. And he didn't want to learn it. He didn't want to. He didn't have his mind open to it. So how's his people ever going to make money? Don't be closed-minded. Don't think that you can't do this. Don't think that you're not worth it. You had to think that somewhere for you to buy that first book. You had to keep thinking it's still inside of you because you're still here. If you didn't believe in this at all, you wouldn't be here anymore, like the thousands that have left since I've been here. And I'll guarantee you, in those thousands, I doubt if anybody's better off today than they were when they were here. Don't give up on yourself. This world needs you. We need you to find your essence. We need you to live your essence. Because the more people we have that are earning a living, the more successful we become in here, the more successful I think we'll become out there. If I came here today as a brand new member, and I'm on this call tonight, and this is my first call, and I'm hearing this guy talk, and he's saying, well, geez, I thought there was a lot of millionaires here. I thought there'd be a lot more successful people here. What's the problem here? Wouldn't you think that if this was your first call? We have some people here doing really well, but it's not enough because we have more people not doing really well. And it doesn't mean you have to start a business. Just live your life better. That's what you have to do. Look at Kay Sutherland. She's 90 years old. She's living the best life she could ever dream of at this time. She never thought she had the knowledge and the voice to say something. She's like a kid in a candy store. She's so excited every time she gets on one of these calls and talks. The knowledge that she has learned in the last 9 or 10 years since she's been here is more than she probably learned her whole life. She never dreamed that she would have this life today. So you're never too old. You're never too young. And with that, I'll stop because the clock is telling me I have to stop. The call tonight for the recording. I wrote it down somewhere here, and where did I put it? Hold on.